Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm back with another video. Today we're gonna be reacting to why Japan won the World Cup, which is crazy because they just drew against Netherlands 2-2. And if I'm being honest, I thought Netherlands. I felt like Japan could have won, but I felt like Netherlands. When you think a team's gonna win, but deep down you know that other team's gonna win because like they're just on paper are much better. That's what I thought because I felt like if Netherlands scored, I felt like it would have been so difficult for Japan to score back because Netherlands' defense is stacked. It's straight up stacked. But hey, they ended up with 2-2 draw, which is, I was supporting Japan all the way in that whole game because I love Japan. Um, but do I think they're gonna win a World Cup? If I'm being honest, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like obviously this is a beautiful game. Anybody can win, but I deep down I feel like it's either gonna be France or France, because so far the only team I feel like has the highest percentage of winning is France, because they literally just won 3-1, and Mbappe, Olise, Due, and Dembele, them four are just a scary quadruple attack team right there, bro. Like it's scary, bro. France definitely has the best attack, but I feel like Portugal has the best not defense, the best midfield. Because their midfields, if you don't know, their midfields, two of them were in that stacked midfield that played for PSG. Um, so it could honestly it can go either way, but let's check out why Japan won the World Cup.
Japan just drew with the Netherlands in the World Cup, but even then, here's a stat that should stop you in your tracks. Since the start of the 2022 World Cup, Japan have not lost to a single European team in normal.
Bro, this is crazy. They won against Germany, Spain, drawed against Croatia, won against Brazil, won against England. Well, these are friendlies though. Can we really count friendly? I mean, they're friendlies, but hey, it is impressive that they're able to beat the best, literally the top five best teams in Europe, bro. Spain, Germany, England. Who else is missing? Yeah, nah, France. They didn't beat France. They haven't played France yet, or Portugal, but they drew against Croatia. Bro, I'm not gonna lie, Croatia's up there with the best nations in Europe, bro. Because not only did they literally went second in 2018, and then went third in 2022. And bro, like I'm not gonna lie, this is an underrated team, bro. Underrated nation, bro. Because they're so strong. They're literally like the dark horses in the World Cup.
In the last 4 years, Japan have beaten Germany, Spain, Brazil, and England at Wembley, becoming the first
At
Asian
Wembley.
team in history to do it. And they did it in front of the world against the giants of the game, the countries that have won this competition 11 times between them. And still, if you ask someone if Japan can win the World Cup, the
Oh,
answer
England
they
hasn't
won't
won
give
it
is no.
after
Here's
like
why
the
they're wrong.
60s.
Because what's happening with Japan's football team isn't a fluke. It's the result of something Japan started building over 30 years ago. A plan so long, so patient, so completely unlike anything else in football that the rest of the world only noticed it was working when it was already too late. This is the story of how a country that barely played football decided to win the World Cup, and how a comic book, of all things, had a big part to play in it all. This
Actually, it's called manga. Okay,
Football
get your
Explained.
facts right.
When you picture a Japan squad, you might still picture plucky underdogs, neat, organised, there to make up the
Bro,
numbers.
I'm so dumb, bro. Manga is basically a comic book, bro.
That Japan is gone. This Japan can name an entire starting 11 from Europe's top leagues. A goalkeeper at Parma, defenders at Bayern and Ajax, Kubo at Real Sociedad, their striker, Ayase
Bro, I
Ueda.
have not heard of Cuba in a while, bro. Like I still remember the friendly he was in because he joined Real Madrid when Hazard joined around that time, and they just did not use him at all, bro. Him and Odegaard, they did not. Madrid never used him, bro. It's crazy.
Just won the Golden Boot in the Dutch league,
He's
outscoring
from
everyone
La
else
Masia
by
too.
8 goals. Rewind to their first ever World Cup in 1998,
Kuba
and
was him, bro.
every single player played at home in Japan, not one in Europe. That's the journey in a single fact. And this isn't a team carried by 1 or 2 stars. It's so deep that Premier League regulars sometimes can't get in the side. The way they play terrifies people. In fact, over the recent years, football enthusiasts have been keeping a keen eye on Japan's tactics and how it has evolved, particularly under one man. Under Hajime Moriyasu, Japan beat England and Brazil with barely 30% of the ball, soaking up pressure, then
Oh,
breaking
they're
with a
playing
speed the
Harambe.
Giants couldn't live with. Against Brazil,
3-2.
they went 2 goals down and won 3-2. No team in history had ever done that. Their best dribbler, Kaoru Mitoma, sadly injured for this World Cup, once turned down a pro contract at 18 to go to university, where he wrote his thesis on the art of dribbling, strapping a GoPro to his head to study how to beat a defender. That's what the world is up against with this Japanese team. There's a phrase that followed Japan out of Qatar after they knocked out Germany and beat Spain. Nobody wanted to play Japan. 4 years on, it's still the same. Except now, they're even better. Just look at their run leading up to the tournament. But talent alone doesn't explain Japan. Plenty of countries have talent and go nowhere. What makes Japan different is where this team came from. Because not long ago, this country was a footballing
It's crazy to me
nobody.
that Belgium
The way they
has
fixed
never
that
won a
is
trophy,
with a
bro.
100-year plan and
Belgium's golden
well,
generation
a
couldn't even
comic
bring a
book.
trophy, bro. That's crazy. That's how competitive the sport is.
It's the 1980s. Japan is a baseball country. Football plays in front of a few thousand. There isn't even a real professional league, just a corporate tournament where teams are owned by companies and players are literally employees. You worked for the company in the week and played at the weekend. And this is the country that decided it was going to win the World Cup. In 1992, before they'd ever even qualified for one, the Japan Football Association wrote a 100-year plan. The official goal? Win the World Cup by 2092. Build a league, build 100 clubs, build the culture from the ground up. It sounds insane, but look at what they did. In 1993, they launched the J-League. The corporate teams we talked about became city clubs. To make the country pay attention, they brought in the biggest names they could. Zico came out of retirement, Gary Lineker signed up, and a young Arsene Wenger took charge of Nagoya Grampus years before Arsenal. The public responded
I
instantly.
did not know that.
60,000 at
He
the first
started
match,
as a manager in the
6.5
J League. I did
million
not know
across the
that.
league within 2 years. But here's the crucial part. They built it beyond the top levels. They built downwards.
Bro, them kids look
Grassroots
fire.
academies,
Bro,
youth
retro kids
coaching,
in general
football
look better
embedded
than the
into
modern
towns and
kids
schools. So
today,
a whole
bro.
generation grew up thinking the game was theirs.
The Japanese way isn't just hiring coaches, it's the culture. And culture accepts here in Japan that when you join a sports team at the age of 6, parents will accept as normal that your child, your little 6-year-old, will train 4 days a week, 3 hours a session, and it goes all year long. There's no on-off season. They just play, play, play. Now, couple in the commitment to mastering basics and technical skills.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, it's crazy how fast they evolve, bro. Cause I seen videos of like high school teams in Japan versing each other, and each one of those players are like really techy, bro. They're really techy, bro. Like the way they move the ball and stuff, and like control and the skills, bro. Like it seems robotic. I'm not gonna lie, it does seem robotic, but not in a bad way. I'm not saying they're bots. No, they play insanely good. They're just very techy. You know those players that like they do a lot of skills. Not necessarily they do a lot of skills, but they when they dribble, they're just like very sharp with it, bro. It's like kind of robotic. Not. I'm not saying like they play like robots, like bots, like in a bad way. I mean, I'm saying in a robotic, like in a good way. Like like when you see, I don't know, bro. It's like Ronaldinho, bro. Brazilians are usually when they're skillful, but they play so naturally and so fluidly. But then you see players like prime Ronaldo at United, bro. When he was dribbling, he was like robotic. He was an electrifying dribbler, bro. That's kind of how Japan, that's kind of how I saw the kids playing like that.
The amount of
Not
repetition
like the
and
natural flow how the Brazilians play, but more of like the robotic, like very skillful, very quick feet. But like it seems robotic. I don't know how to explain it, bro. If you play football, you know. If you know, you know, bro.
the amount of time they practice and the amount of
But I'm
games
not
that
saying they play
play,
like bots.
you're
They
going to
play
develop
really
these
good.
players.
Compare that to China, a country of over $1 billion that poured money into football from the top down, importing superstars. The money went in, the culture never came. China still can't qualify today, but that's a story for another day.
You know, when you look at sports and you've been here as long as I have, there's certain tenets to Japanese culture that are very important, such as all sports, not just football. They value discipline, repetition, and the commitment to mastery of the basics. And you see that through all sports.
But a plan on paper doesn't make children fall in love with a sport. Something else did that. In 1981, a manga artist named Yoichi Takahashi created a story about a boy with an impossible gift for football and an impossible dream of winning the World Cup. The manga was Captain Tsubasa. At its peak, it sold over 6 million copies a
God
week. A whole
damn.
generation of Japanese children read it and decided they wanted to play football. The first Japanese player ever to succeed in Europe, Hidetoshi Nakata, he picked it up because he read Captain Tsubasa and wanted to try the overhead kick. And it didn't stop in Japan. Translated worldwide, Oliver and Benji in Italy and Spain, Captain Mahed in the Arab world. Iniesta read it. Torres said he started playing because of it. Let that sink in for a second.
That's crazy.
The Japanese comic book helped inspire world
People don't understand how much influence Japan has, bro. Especially when it comes to manga and anime, bro. They have a huge influence, bro. Especially, I'm seeing it now with Blue Lock.
winners for other countries.
Bro, they had a whole. I literally read that they actually created. They were literally inspired by Blue Lock, like the whole project, and they actually like made that whole project real, bro. When they get the best of the best in Japan.
That's the secret hiding inside Japanese football. They didn't import a football culture, they drew one into existence and sent it around the world. By the time those two grew up, Japan had a professional league, a home World Cup in 2002, and a wave of players heading to Europe. The women's team won the whole thing in 2011. As European football became big globally in the 2000s, the cross-cultural bridge became a huge catalyst for a whole new generation of Japanese footballers. Even if Japan's national team wasn't at the forefront then, you had a sense that something was brewing, because the impossible plan was working. And it was working so well that in 2005, they moved the deadline forward. The target wasn't 2092 anymore, it was 2050. There's just one problem, and every Japan fan feels it in their stomach: the round of 16. Japan have reached the knockout stage 4 times. 4 times, they've gone out. In 2018, they led Belgium 2-0 with 20 minutes left and lost. In 2022, they went out to Croatia on penalties. So close, so often, it's become a curse. There's an honest tension underneath the success. Football is still not king at home. Baseball is. Most J-League games sit behind a paywall. But here's why it might not matter this time. Because Japan knows its weaknesses better than anyone. For decades, the one thing they couldn't produce was a world-class striker, and the culture responded the way it always does. Blue Lock, a manga built entirely around creating
This
Japan's
is what I was
greatest
talking about.
striker, is now the best-selling sports manga on the planet. And this year, the Football Association officially partnered with it, using the story to scout
That's
Japanese
crazy.
kids growing up outside Japan. Most countries stumble into a golden generation and pray for another. Japan manufactures them, and on a schedule. You can see that culture in the fans too. Famous for staying behind to clean the stadium, picking up litter that isn't theirs. They befriend rival fans, then sing their own team's name. Unity is their symbol.
It's cut across everything in culture. If you go to a baseball match, a tennis match, if you go to a movie theater, people are going to clean up after themselves. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to sit in the right seat that their ticket matches up to sit. And those are just, characteristics of Japanese society and culture. And so that's the good thing about Japan, because it's easy to get everybody on the same page.
So, will Japan win the World Cup? Maybe, maybe not. But here's what you have to understand. This is no accident. They wrote a plan when they were nobody. They drew a comic book that built a generation, then drew another to build the next one. They built a league, a culture, and a pipeline, brick by patient brick. So when you watch Japan next, don't just see them as a dark horse. Watch them as what they actually are. The most patient project in the history of the sport, arriving right on time and exemplifying Japanese character. For a bystander, the dream a manga artist drew in 1981 may just be another comic book, but for Japan, it's a mission.
W, bro. Bro, I love Japan, bro. I love the culture. I love the country. I hope they do good. Shoot, I'm stuttering. I hope they do good in this World Cup, and I hope they make it far. But that being said, I hope Portugal wins. I want Ronaldo to win. Damn. Let me know what y'all think about the video and what you want me to react to next. If you want me to react to more soccer, sorry, more football content, I'll react to them. I'm a big football fan. And yeah, you'll see me in the World Cup in 2030 as a striker for the United States national team. And it was